Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. Just doing a quick video about something that I am quite confused by, and I don't know what to think. Because, oh, by the way, happy Saturnalia and Yule to everybody too. Um, there was a video that came out about a certain prominent doctor of the Italian persuasion. By the way, this is not a mullet. I might actually get a cut because this is not growing as fast as they act, but we'll see what happens. It's going kind of mullety, so I might actually get a cut. So there was a certain doctor of the Italian persuasion who was in the media and was a high-profile, almost divine figure to some people that had a certain medical procedure done. In this medical procedure, he had a action vaccination of the Miller germ that's going around. the Berghoff, the Berghoff virus. What's another Mexican beer? I'm trying to think. No, that's not a Mexican beer. I know Berghoff is German. Cerveza bug, which they'll probably put on YouTube as a censorious word that they'll put. So in this video, he gets his high-profile cerveza bug action vaccination, and it's in his left arm. So, okay, yeah, he got the action vaccination, in a public manner, just like some of these people are doing. Like AOC did it too, and these former presidents and stuff. And by the way, I'm going to see what happens with this, as far as like, I'm hoping that nobody I know that gets this thing, the action vaccination, has any bad effects. If they don't, I'm going to be a little more skeptical about some of the, I know like 5 people that get it and they don't have any kind of adverse effects. I'm going to be a little more skeptical of the conspiratorial theories about it, even though I'm not going to ever be skeptical about the conspiratorial theories about Big Pharma and so forth, which might be another word that our glorious platform, which I'll actually be switching from pretty soon. Some of my videos, I believe I'm going to probably go to a bit shoots and ladders place. I don't know if that's a bad word either to YouTube now. Bit shoots and ladders. I'll be going to that site. So Mr. Shorty gets his action vaccination on the left arm. So then he's on CNN, and he's asked about, oh, do you have, how are the side effects going? He's like, well, there's still some soreness on his right arm. And I just have to think, like, I know sometimes you have like muscle soreness from, sometimes like some medical things cause like general muscle soreness or flus and so forth, But I'm just thinking, why does he touch his right arm when the action vaccination went in his left arm? It's a little suspicious to me. Well, it's very suspicious to me. What the fuck? So that's all. It's only going to make things worse if these people go on a high horse about the action vaccination too much. The way that they're handling these things, like just from a public relations standpoint, is just a disaster too. Even from a standpoint of, let's say, like, I believed in all the narratives that are being pushed, 100%. Let's say I was totally like, I wouldn't say that it'd be like someone that hasn't left my house since March, believe in the narratives. I mean, like a normal person will wear a mask and talk on Zoom with friends, video chat for a better 2021 and all that crap. I put in my Rufus McDoofus videos. Let's say I was more closer to Rufus McDoofus in real life. I would still say that this way that they're handling the PR about the Action Jackson is a fucking clusterfuck. It's not going to help. You're not going to have people more apt to take the Action Jackson. By the way, I got the Action Jackson term from Quantum of Conscience, who's a channel I watch. He has a channel. His name is Matt as well. I don't know what I think about everything he says, but I find it pretty fascinating, so I watch his channel all the time. I bought his book too, which I haven't read yet, but it's interesting. I don't know what I think. I'm just, I'm kind of agnostic about what he says a lot of the time, but it's pretty fascinating food for thought. And I thought the term Action Jackson was pretty hilarious. So, and he uses these code words now because he doesn't want to be banned by YouTube. So I figured I'd do the same thing. So yeah, I don't know what the deal with him rubbing his right arm when he got the Action Jacksonation, the sewing needle in his left arm, the sewing needle of the Action Jacksonation was inserted in his left arm, and he rubbed his right arm. I don't know. Oh, low battery power. I don't know what the significance of that is. It's a little bit bizarre, and it does make you think, like, if this is actually, like, I don't know. I just don't know what to say about that. It's so weird. I guess if I were a medical doctor, like, if people want to dispute conspiracy theories, just explain some stuff to us better, They can easily stop these conspiracy theories and theorists by coming out and saying, like, oh, this is why this happened, and this is why we said this. But they're not seeming to do that. They're just doubling down on this crap. And then all these people are caught, violating their own guidelines and stuff. And, you got to think, why in the hell do people not question things after all we've been fed, And if you see the Mr. Shorty Italiano medical doctor from, who's, been in the power in his positions for 40 years or whatever. If you see the original March video of him talking about a certain piece of clothing that people are wearing nowadays, it's not the fact that he said, oh, I don't, we shouldn't be jumping to that conclusion quite yet about wearing this article of clothing that I'm talking about. Well, which I should, because it's not about that. It's about, the way that he was so, if you watch the clip, it's from 60 Minutes. I think it was March 20th or something. If you watch that video, it's not the words that he's saying. It's almost more the tone. He's like, I'm not going to do it. I don't know. I haven't got any strikes from YouTube yet, so I will just say it. Masks. Why would we want people? Well, maybe you'll make people feel better. Those are his exact words. Like, there's no reason for to have people to be wearing masks, and he was doubting their efficacy as well, which a lot of doctors have come around, I guess, with some of these studies and stuff. And supposedly there's 70 studies but there's some dispute. Of course, there's been some other studies that have said that they don't work. I think what's going on? Okay, I got a YouTube comment. I think the fact of the matter is that I have a very complicated view on why I don't go after, why I wear a mask, but I also don't criticize anti-maskers. I mean, I'd have to go through. Then maybe that'll be my first BitChute. I just said it. BitChute. YouTube. Hey, YouTube. BitChute. You gonna ban me, motherfucker? Ban me? Yeah, the first. BitChute's for Nazis. Yeah. Well, it's an alternate platform. Of course, they're gonna have people that don't want to be censored on there, and some of those people are pretty crazy fucking Nazi conspiracy people. Of course, that's gonna happen. Of course, as they grow in popularity, that's going to become, more diverse. Like, I know Amazing Atheist, TJ Kirk is on there too, and some other people that are on the left or whatever. So fuck you. Anyways, the what was I saying? Well, anyways, like I think there's a lot of. Oh yeah, so I was going to say that I have a very complicated opinion about it. I don't want people to be criticized that when we've been gaslit by our government and these corporations for so many years, I'm not going to blame someone for not trusting these mandates or these ideas. It doesn't mean that I think also another thing that I have a problem with is people that are being shamed for these ideas too, because if you're shaming people, what does that say about you? You're looking down upon people for having a different point of view or for taking a certain action? What's motivating you? What makes you feel bad about yourself to say this about another person? I'm talking down people that have not left their apartment or house since March, and I realize that's kind of a part, that's a hypocritical thing to do. But I think it's the pendulum has swung so far into shaming people that have a different point of view about this whole crisis that they're the voice that's not going to be heard by most people. So I choose because I want all voices represented to defend those people. Now, does that mean that I believe that masks don't work, or that I think it's not even a matter of that anymore? It's gone so far beyond that. I mean, we have these strains of the cerveza virus going around that may even go, it's mutating, so it's more virulent, I guess, some of these mutations. So who knows if just wearing a piece of cloth on your fucking face is going to help anymore? It may not. I mean, you might have to wear more N95s, or whatever. Who knows? But for me to criticize people that aren't following these guidelines, it would be just I just think that's a very flawed perspective after all, especially in the West, especially in the United States, because we've been through so much shit with this and so many other crises that have come about. And it's like, I've already seen the other side of this. When I was questioning the narrative of 7-Eleven is, okay, here's another quantum of conscience thing I'm going to use. 7-Eleven was a part-time job. And when I questioned that narrative years ago, I was, people did say in conversation that I was with the terrorists. There was once actually about the Iraq War, actually. Me and my friend, my former drummer in my band, were in this class together at the local technical college here. And we were, stating our opposition to the war in Iraq. And this girl said, well, you're supporting terrorists. They did 9/11. Oh, shit. Oops. Okay. 11 from Stranger Things. 9. Well, I'm trying to fucking stop. Okay. I don't know if this is going to really trigger any alarms. They did 7-Eleven as a part-time job. And I know Iraq had nothing to do with 7-Eleven as a part-time job. You had people working from Saudi Arabia in that 7-Eleven. You had people from Pakistan working at that 7-Eleven. You didn't have, a bunch of Iraqis work at that 7-Eleven. So that 7-Eleven, and you might have had Al Qaeda, might have been involved as well with the 7-Eleven as a part-time job. They might have, there are some theories about that. There's a good book called Disconnecting the Dots. So I question these narratives, and so for me to come out on the other side of this, and for people to question these narratives and say that people are questioning these narratives and not following these guidelines, it would be like a person that refuses to take their shoes off at the airport. Oh my God, they're risking lives. Oh my God. Oh, or they're supporting these terrorists by not reporting their neighbor. So I already know from the other side what it's like to be questioning narratives that the public is given. And that's one reason why I don't shame anti-maskers or anti-lockdown protesters and stuff like that. I don't feel and I sympathize with them because I know where they're coming from questioning these narratives. Because from 7-Eleven as part-time job, from the beginning, I question the narrative. First, it was from like a Noam Chomsky and like, oh, American foreign policy blowback kind of thing. Oh, well, we've been fucking around with all these countries. It just, we deserved it in a way. I was kind of an asshole about it, honestly. But then I kind of started to do a lot of research, and there was, the Paul Thompson stuff that, and then the the New York Wives and stuff that questioned a lot of stuff, and they wanted an independent investigation, which never really truly happened, honestly. So there were some amateur investigations that were independent, but the 7-Eleven is a part-time job commission was not independent at all. So when I was on that other side, I really, learned that people are fed these narratives and follow these things way too closely, and they don't question things. So where maybe scientifically, let's just say this, maybe scientifically from a certain perspective, you can say someone who's asymptomatic of the cerveza virus could spread, and the person not wearing a mask is more likely to do that. I fail to see the constructiveness of that argument, how that's going to help, because of all this confusion and all these politicians and all these corporations and all these powerful entities that are taking advantage of this. I'd rather question some of that at this point in this juncture, because the people that are not wearing the facial covering are not the ones that are really in power. They're not really, they're not in power. They may be spreading the cerveza virus more, maybe, okay. Let's just say, and they can't even get their science right about that. World Heath Bar organization. I made that up. Anybody could steal that. World Heath Bar organization said in the summer that there was one person that said asymptomatic spread is rare. So who do we believe when they change their mind every fucking day? So am I going to blame someone? See, there's people that are attacking these people that are not wearing masks or anti-lockdowns, and they're giving all these money to these politicians that are bombing the Middle East, polluting the earth, all these corporations, all these neoliberal, neocolonial corporatist entities, and they're like, "Yay, Joe Biden! Oh, he's better than Trump, though." And it's like, those terrible Trump supporting anti-maskers, they're killing grandma. But what are you doing with your fucking tax dollars? You're fucking funding drone strikes all over the damn world. Wars in Yemen and pollution that kills people as well, and lockdowns kill people too. The UN and UNICEF and New York Times ran things that, millions may be at risk of tuberculosis because they weren't vaccinated because of lockdowns. I mean, come on. If millions starve because the supply chain is disrupted, when there's already an Action Jackson, okay, let's say the Action Jackson actually works. I mean, obviously this thing may be endemic with all these strains and stuff, but let's say the Action Jackson does save lives. Maybe it stops the cerveza crisis, right? So at the end of the day, you'll have 1.5 million dead. And then in these lockdowns, maybe there will be there's 3 million dead and a lot more children. Who's morally right or wrong then? The person that supported these guidelines, these lockdowns, or the anti-masker possible Trump supporter? I know people that are not a fan of Trump that won't wear a mask, that might have a risk of on a statistical basis, maybe spreading an asymptomatic virus to someone somewhere, possibly. The logic doesn't make any damn sense to me with this asymptomatic, and I understand the Spanish floozies from back in the day. I'm just using code words now. Back in the day, there was masks that protected people and stuff. They were talking about the same thing. Even with that in mind, and maybe it did stop some of the spread. I just can't bring myself to criticize these people. I can't. To me, it doesn't make sense the way that these things are being handled in the first place. So I look at the whole system. I look at the macro level as being corrupt and decrepit and disgustingly incompetent. So when one person is, or maybe a group of people is not wearing, is anti-mask, I'm not going to say, oh my God, they're so terrible. I see them, I have sympathy and empathy for them because we don't, the narrative has been so skewed and so bizarre, frankly, that I can't bring myself to hate anybody that's against these narratives. Now, does that mean that I think there's some kind of a Gil Yates nano chip particle great reset, conspiracy? Not necessarily. I mean, like the World Heath Bar Organization. James Corbett actually did a video about that. The World Heath Bar Organization changed their criteria for pan style pizza demics. Hey, two could play this game, Matt McKinley. Okay, I'm trying to think of all the stuff I could say. Um, they changed their criteria like in 2009, and there was a lot of corruption there with the big pharma and stuff. It was some mainstream coverage of this. So you start with this thing that's rotten at its root, and then it springs forth, and then it corrupts everything else. That's kind of what happens. It's not necessarily one grand conspiracy of 5 people in a room. It's just people's groupthink and all this stuff. So there's another reason why. Oh, this is becoming a really weird video, kind of off topic, but it began as far as the Italian man. It was about the Italian man, but nothing wrong with Italians. I just made tortellini. So there's another reason why I don't hate people that are, not wearing masks or, not social distancing. It's like, where do you draw the line? Is a person more morally righteous that is not leaving their house since March than a person that does go into public but wears a mask, or the person that hangs out with 2 friends versus 5 friends versus goes to a Trump rally or whatever? Where do you draw the line? Who's morally right? Who's morally wrong? How do you judge by whose standard? To quote, I hate to quote Ayn Rand in this situation, but by whose standard? Whose standard are you using? So how can we judge these people? So what standard are you using? I judge people, I am judging people. I judge the power structures that let this thing happen. I'm not going to judge the individual citizens that have a varying spectrum that they're on with regards to the crisis. It would be fucking madness. It'd be, micromanaging, OCD, like obsessing over all this stuff. I think it's ridiculous. I point out the hypocrisy. That I will do. I mean, the hypocrisy is fine. I know people that will not see their relatives today, which is Christmas, by the way, and they'll talk to them on Zoom only. I know people that will have a full family gathering with even like older relatives. I happen to be going to a minimum family gathering with, relatives, but no Zoom. Thank fucking God. And if I get sick in a week, then I'll let you know, but I don't think I will. I mean, it's just the statistics, I think like they said, 50% people are asymptomatic or more, or maybe why are they saying more people are than they said than that? Because if there's 5 people, none get sick and none have been sick. That's more than, anyways, we're coming, we're getting into these like different semantics and all these different numbers and shit. Well, yeah, the other point is that I was going to say is that we've never said all this shit before. 2018, one of the worst years on record for flu in modern time. And nobody was talking about masks. Nobody's talking about how people are evil by going places. Nobody was talking about that. And maybe it's not on the scale of this, but the fact that they changed the criteria for the die rollings, if you know what I mean. They changed. It's like they changed the rules in role playing. Like let's say there's a role playing game where you have to roll 2d10s to attack, right? And then there's like this vague, like, well, then you'll do some sort of damage that will determine on an individual basis on the monster. Okay. And then all of a sudden we have this new role-playing game where you have to use 4 dice and everything's the same amount of damage to the monster. You know, are you going to say that the person playing the fucking role-playing game is not playing the game right all of a sudden because the rules changed in the middle of the fucking stream? I don't know if that's a good metaphor, but it's just, it makes no sense to me. All this time, you know, I went out on New Year's and I felt sick, you know, this year, or New Year's Day, New Year's Eve through New Year's night, you know, with my ex-girlfriend. And I wasn't